Hi everybody, happy Monday. I am so excited to be here. So I am just now getting back from vacation, hence the tan, hence the hat, because I have major beach hair that needs some TLC, which I'm getting on Wednesday, thank goodness. But I have so much to talk about, like so much I want to talk to you guys about. So it's been a couple weeks and I feel totally recharged from this vacation. Every year our family and our best friends' families, we go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. If you've been there, give me a shout out. If you want to know anything about the Outer Banks, why I love it, give me a shout out and we could talk all about Outer Banks. Anyway, it's awesome. But every year I go and it is a time that first of all, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. When I go to the beach, it takes me about half the week to fully decompress. So like just when I'm starting to like relax and get into that beach groove, I feel like the week is almost over. Like I'm finally relaxed and then it's our last day. It happens to me every year. Every year I say I'm not going to do any work at all. Here's the thing, and this is going to sound kind of obnoxious, but I really love what I do. Like I do. I really love it. Now, are there like parts of my job that I don't love? Yes. But for the most part, I absolutely love what I do. So for me, work isn't like a bad thing. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy doing things. I've written parts of my book on vacation. I listen to tons of podcasts on vacation, and like I'll work on different projects for SBO on vacation. So, but I really made an intention that this year I did not want to take a lot of work with me. I have a lot of stuff going on, specifically with like the Enneagram and Clutter course. So I said, I'm just going to take some time to relax, recharge, really kind of like pray on what God wants me to do next for SBO, how I can serve my people better, and I'm going to read. So today I want to talk to you about some of the books that I read that I absolutely love. I listened to my podcast from last week, which I listen to all my podcasts, not because I want to hear my own voice, but I really want to hear what the finished product sounds like with my guests. And I have to tell you guys, my podcast episode last week with Jacqueline Strauss from my macro memoir was awesome. It was so good. And not because I'm a good interviewer, but because her content is so great and what she's doing is so awesome. So if you haven't already gone and listened to it, definitely go back and listen to it. It got me really excited about like even though I know what her product is about and I know how it can simplify people's lives, that thanks Jacqueline, she just said I'm so good. Well, you're good too. And I can't even tell you, like I was just talking to my girlfriend today who is a personal assistant for somebody who's aging, and I said, you have to do this as a project with Harriet. Like you have to do it with her. It's awesome and she's gonna do it. So it's really great. Everybody go back and listen to it. It's all about digital organization and it's gonna be a game changer. So I listened to that and got totally recharged. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is a book. I have a stack of books here. You can't see them, but I have a stack of books and we're going to go through. And I just want to talk to you, give you a little overview, books that I either finished reading or I am currently reading that if you're interested in making some changes in your life or your behavior or something, your career, whatever, these are going to be great books. If you're looking for like a light beach read, not probably your jam, but here's what they are. First book that I read cover to cover on vacation is this book, Fair Play. I got recommended to the book from my friend Emily Hay, who was on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and she said this was like game changer, her favorite book. So if anybody listens to my show, you know that I always ask my guests who or what their favorite book is and why, and and Emily named this book Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. I always say her name wrong. I want to like add some vowels. Anyway, I bought it on her recommendation and said I'm going to bring it to the beach, and I did. and I love it. I loved it so much that I reached out to her PR team and I was like, I really want to get Eve on the show to talk about this book. So waiting to hear back, but hopefully we're going to be able to get Eve on This Organized Life because I have a ton of questions. But this is a great book and it talks about really the division of labor at home is kind of like the biggest way for me to give this like 10,000 foot view. And it talks about if you struggle with feeling like you do all of the things or you do 90% of the things and you are either in a push-pull relationship with your spouse or even with your kids or whatever, it's really designed spouse to spouse. But what she talks about is this amazing concept that I actually told Josh about because I think we have a pretty equitable division of labor in my house, right? It's not that it's 50-50, but like when Josh does something, he pretty much kind of owns it. And that to me is like the biggest game changer in this business is so many people will delegate, and this goes true for business as well, but especially in our homes, we delegate like little parts of something. And it's always that last 10% that doesn't get done. Or if you're doing 90%, there's like something lost in the translation. And so things don't get done to its best of its ability. And sometimes that's something that's fixable. Actually, most times it's fixable. And this book talks about the game fair play. She calls it a game. And I'm not going to spoil it and waste everyone's time kind of going into all the nuts and bolts, but it is so great. And she talks about really having ownership, which she calls the CPE, which is the concept to planning to execution. And so many people will just delegate the execution, but still have to carry the mental load of the concept and the planning that they're still exhausted, even if they're delegating the execution. Like if you send your husband to the store, for example, but you are the one that figured out what the meal planning was and you created the grocery list, you are still carrying all of that burden versus him just going to the store. Or another great example for parents would be, you're in charge of like your kids' sports calendars. So you update the calendars of when all the games are, what's away, what's travel, you coordinate getting the kids' bag ready, or you make sure your kids are getting their bag ready. And then you say to your spouse, I need you to drive Johnny to this game. Well, even though he's taking that part of it, you're still carrying the mental load. And it could go vice versa. This isn't only just for women. But studies do show that women carry the brunt of this, like the conception and the planning. And so if you can start to have more of an equitable split, and she walks you through like how that can be done. So she does exactly what I like, which is explaining the why and then how to do it. And then with like case studies and peppered with like anecdotes throughout. So People, Fair Play, great book, love it. Other book I'm in the process of reading because I've been reading it so freaking slow is the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. I think I talked about it before. It's all about, BJ Fogg is like amazing. He is a behavioral organizational PhD, created the Stanford Behavioral Organizational Institute, like super smart guy, and talks all about the power of tiny habits and how to do them, how to create them. If any of my professional organizers that are in my SBO partner program are watching this live, we're going to be talking about this or a section of this book on our SBO retreat. So every year I do a retreat for the professional organizers that are part of my group, my SBO partner program. It's just it's not open to the public. It's just a closed internal retreat. And we talk about a bunch of different things relating to business and strategy. And there's some parts here that I really want to share with you guys because I think it's going to be really helpful with your clients to be able to help them, especially the ones that are struggling with even just taking that first step. Great book. So anybody out there, Tiny Habits, awesome book. Another book that I started reading and then I picked up another book. I normally am somebody that likes to read a book start to finish. but there were a couple other books that I had in the queue. This also is a great book by Dr. Henry Cloud. Love Henry Cloud. He's written a bunch of books. Boundaries, great book. Love this. Anybody who has trouble setting boundaries, this book is going to be a game changer for you. Which leads me to what I came home to, super excited. So anybody who is around me knows that I'm like huge Ramsey personality junkie. I had Rachel Cruz on my show and big Dave Ramsey fan and all of the different people. I got a sneak peek author advanced reader copy from Christy Wright on her new book, Take Back Your Time. So I'm going to be reading this. I came home to it. Chrissy's going to be on my show. She's got a new book. This is the book, or this is the advanced copy that is going to be coming out. I think it's August. It's August or September. I'm not really sure which exactly when, but we're going to be releasing our episode right when her new book comes out. So all this, I think you can pre-order it now. I'm not really sure, but I'm very excited. I came home yesterday from vacation to a stack of mail, most of which were bills or junk. And this was so there waiting for me, and I was so excited. So I can't wait to read this. And it talks about really, I believe, I haven't read it yet, but I believe it's not about time management, but again, setting those boundaries and removing the stuff that you don't need to do. And I think that's so important. And then the last book, which I've been getting a lot of feedback of new people. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And that's my book, Hot Mess. Now, I haven't read my book in a while, like probably since I wrote it, because anybody who's written a book knows like you kind of get sick of looking at it after a while. But there are parts that I've been extracting recently and making sure that they still hold up. And what I love about it is it does. I wrote this book in 2017, or that's when it came out. So I've been writing it before that. And the principles, even through COVID and just all of the things that changes in our world and society, like these principles really still hold up. And I love it because I'm referencing a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching with Enneagram and Clutter from this book. So this book is really like a great primer. And if any of you are not familiar with the book that I wrote, it is a practical guide for people that want to get organized. And it's in 3 sections. And the first section is all about clutter. Like, what is clutter? How do we define it? I talk about the 3 different types of clutter: physical clutter, emotional clutter, calendar clutter. Then from there, we talk about actionable strategies, the how-to, right? So we have the why, and then we have the how in the next part. And then the third section is all room by room, really granular, tactical information based on your space. And it goes, if you don't have a basement, skip that chapter. You don't have kids, skip the chapter on playrooms. So you can go through and extract on section 3 the parts that really make sense for you where you're struggling. And what I love about it is you can refer back to it, and it's a quick read. So I love it. And again, the information here hasn't changed. Like, my practice hasn't changed. Sure, have there been new products that have come out? Absolutely. Are there, things that maybe I reference that, I might have a new one that I use or a new way of doing things? Absolutely, because like anything, we're always refining our skills, but the foundational principles still hold up, and I love that. So I always, when we're on our trip, think about, what do I want next? I kind of use this week as a way for me to say, what have I been, like, what is the stuff that I'm doing, and how can I continue to help people? And so, again, I was reaffirmed on this vacation that the work that I've been doing with Enneagram and Clutter is where I need to be. It's what I need to be doing. I am so passionate about helping you guys figure out ways for you to run your homes and your businesses smarter. Doesn't mean that you're going to have a 4-hour work week. It doesn't mean that you are going to have to serve people and, spend your whole life just, not doing anything for yourself. It's about finding that integration that I talk about of what do I want to do for myself? What do I want to do to serve other people? And how can I kind of put all those pieces together? And it also reminded me that I need to make more time to do things around my house that I wind up neglecting. Like that whole saying, the cobbler's kid has no shoes. So whether that is, setting aside a morning for me to clean out my cabinets because I know that that's important, and I sit there and I preach it to other people and I'm not doing it myself. So when we all get busy doing things that we either have to do or we want to do, other stuff tends to fall into the background, and that's just natural. But I want to be more intentional about carving out those times. And so for me, the podcast is something that I want to continue to bring you new guests because I get energy and I learn from all of our guests. So selfishly, it's not just a way for me to serve you guys, but it's also a way for me to get more content and more ways that I can incorporate stuff into the teachings that I do. And then again, really honing in on doing Enneagram and Clutter workshops and helping people figure out not just what their Enneagram type is, but why you want to know it. Why do you want to, what is it that you're going to do with this information? And when it comes to your relationship with organization and clutter and how your relationships and how the clutter impacts the stress and anxiety level in your lives or the lives of people around you, like that is really meaningful work for me. And so whether it's through group coaching, whether it's through workshops, whether it's through these live events, these are the ways that I want to be showing up for you. And so I don't know what your summer has in store for you, but if you are the type of person like myself that uses this time to really do a little bit of self-reflection and saying, what am I doing personally? What am I doing professionally? What's working and what do I want to change? Like, I encourage you to use that time. And it's okay if you say, you know what, something I've been doing, I want to stop doing that. Like, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me emotionally or mentally or physically or financially, whatever it is. And kind of, sometimes we all are sitting there drinking from a fire hose, and we have to kind of take a step back and say, all right, this is where I'm going to set some boundaries. And that's where sometimes reading books and getting that quiet, like, knowledge without any distractions can be really, really powerful. And I'm an old school person. I like to read a book. I like to read a paperback or a hardcover book. But if you're somebody that likes to listen to Audible or read a book on, on a Kindle or a reader, go for it. But I love reading. I don't do it I'm doing it more than I used to. There was like a long stretch when my kids were little that I was like, no way, no how. But even if you're reading a couple pages a day, whether it's like maybe first thing in the morning or right before bed, and just reading a little bit, it really does, I feel like it really does nourish you. Even if it's something that you are just saying, this is going to be like an escape from my crazy life. So I just gave you a few books. I'm going to go through them one more time. So again, we'll start from top to bottom. Again, here's my shameless plug for my book, Hot Mess, Practical Guide to Getting Organized. Dr. Henry Cloud's book, Boundaries. This is geared towards a lot of boundaries in the workplace, but you can apply this for boundaries at home too. So, Boundaries, great book. This one, put on your pre-sale. It's Christy Wright's upcoming book, which I cannot wait to read, called Take Back Your Time. And I will let you know when she's going to be on the show or when that episode's going to come out. Then, of course, Tiny Habits that I've been reading. BJ Fogg, awesome, such a game changer book. And again, any of my professional organizers, we're going to be talking about this on our retreat. And then again, for everybody out there, whether you have kids, whether you not have kids, but if you are in some sort of a relationship with a spouse, you live with somebody, this is a great, it's really, again, she's married with two, I don't think it's three, I think it's two kids. So it's geared towards people that are young, like young married people. But if, you know, anybody that is really kind of struggling with wearing all the hats and is looking to delegate before you get to that point of like resentment, fair play. Awesome book. All right, that's it for me for today. I hope everybody has a great week. I will be here. I know it's a holiday, so maybe I'll pop in on Tuesday. Tuesday I'll be with a client, but I want everybody to have a great July 4th, and that's it. Again, listen to last week's episode of This Organized Life with Jacqueline Strauss from My Macro Memoir. I'm telling you, it's a great, great episode, and she's awesome. So thank you, everybody. Love you, and I'll see you soon. Oh, one more thing. Happy anniversary, JP. It's my husband and my anniversary, 23 years. Can you believe it? And the other thing is, just for all you married people out there, it's not all roses. Like sometimes there's thorns, but it's great because you know what? You can ride it out like up and down. And if you are able to kind of play through those tough years, hopefully you've got some, you know, peaks on the other side of that valley. And, you know, I am so grateful for my husband and all that he does. And he's in New York for a couple of days, so that means I have to make the coffee and do all the laundry myself, or I can just wait for him to come back. We'll see. All right, bye guys.